Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wickwar Brewery and welcome to the stage your MC Nick Hill! Oh, listen to that apathetic round of applause. Are we well? People at the back, I know it's a bit cavernous, but can you hear that okay?
Sorry?
Don't start, sir, please. And people in the front row, are you okay? Because you were stood like naughty children at the bar waiting, weren't you?
These were the only seats left.
Only seats left and you've got to sit at the front. Do you actually run pubs?
No.
Do you do anything looking at you, or is just the right said Fred tribute act sat in the front here? Pub landlord. And does it really piss you off when customers come to the pub about 5 to 11 to demand a drink?
No, he's a pub landlord.
Don't stand at the bar, wait until we start then, that's my advice to you. So listen, this is lovely, what a fantastic room to be in, and we've obviously got to take that tribute act, stood over there waiting. Guys, are you going to sit down, or are you just going to stand there looking as pretty as you possibly can under the circumstances? Don't look at him for support, he ain't going to help you. This is lovely, and before we start, I think what I'd just like to say, I know many of you will know Andy Adams, and I think despite what you might think of him tonight, does dispel that myth that he can actually organise a piss-up in a brewery. Really? I've known Andy for ages, and when we were talking this week, he said, please don't say any stories about me. And to be honest, he's like the son I never fucking wanted. So this is the first time I've sort of been to Wickwar Brewery to a gig. It's not the first time of doing a product launch, I have to say, because a couple of weeks ago I was invited down to a brewery in Cornwall called Skinner's, and they phoned me up, they said, Nick, we've seen your profile, we've heard about you, we've got a new beer we're launching, we think you're going to be absolutely fantastic for it. And I didn't ask what it was, and when I got there, they presented me with this, a beer they just launched, Ginger Tosser, which... yeah, great. Have we got any other gingers in the room? No one's going to admit to that, are they, to be quite honest with you? I'm not a stranger to the licensed trade. I worked for Courage's back in the 80s, 82 to about 88, and I mean, things have moved on since then. You know, you guys must appreciate how, you know, it's a difficult trade to be in now, in that, you know, you work really long hours, you have problems with staff, you know, it's everything else, but you've all fucking managed to be here for a freebie, haven't you, tonight, which is, no problem getting off for the night tonight. But pub landlords back in the day, I remember when I went into the trade, and the first landlord I experienced, he was a magic man. He was absolutely magic. He was somebody who could make a 22 gallon of Courage Best turn into a 28 gallon with just a funnel, a filter, and a barrel of slops every single night. And looking round at some of you, older ones, I think you've been through that. You, sir, have you ever put anything back you shouldn't have done?
I can remember drinking the bloody stuff. You
can remember drinking the stuff. And back then, I mean, pub landlords, you know, the publicans were completely different, you know, dripping with gold, tattoos, you know, chain smoking, and the blokes weren't much better, were they, to be honest? And there's, look, are you all publicans in here tonight, or just hangers on? Just give me a show of hands who runs a pub currently, or quite a few of you, and a show of hands who rubs any pubs in Bristol. Is the owner of the Gotham Porter Stores in tonight? He couldn't make it. Oh, that's a shame. But I mean, there's quite a few publicans. I mean, and this couple here, you run a pub, I'm guessing, because like nobody's going to mess with you as a pub landlord, are they? Really, I'm not going to mess with you. Shit. I'm really not going to mess with you. But things have changed so much. I mean, you must get pissed off with the Wetherspoons taking over everywhere, like opening all sorts of hours of the day. 7:30 in the morning. What is the point of that? And serving breakfast. And I come from Gloucester, and I see them queuing up outside Wetherspoons, like just bedraggled, waiting for their eggs Benedict at 7:30 in the morning. That's never right, is it? That can't be right. And so I've travelled down from Gloucester tonight. I don't know about your year. My year didn't start off particularly well at the start of the year with the news of Prince Philip surviving that accident, because I had 50 quid at 200 to 1 that he'd be gone by February. Because I don't know if you know this, he was number 4 on the celebrity death list of 2019. Every year there's a death list announced, and one of the things is you can't be on there for more than 4 years running. Top of the list, Kirk Douglas, 104. Doris Day's on there, she's 94. Prince Philip, I think he comes in at number 4. And a bit further down the list, there's a group of women. Mary Berry's on there, 84. Yes, Mary Berry, she hasn't gone yet, don't worry. Mary Berry's on there, Tina Turner's on there, Prunella Scales is on there, Cleo Lane, you know, they're all in their late 80s. Now, I would challenge any red-blooded man in here tonight, despite the fact of their age, there's at least 2 of those you still have a crack at, surely to God.
I don't fancy Prince Philip.
You don't fancy Prince Philip. I'll tell you what we'll do, we'll try and go a little bit slower, so you can keep up, young man. Will that be all right? Is that okay? I did dry January this year. I still drank. It's just my wife had banned us from sex. It was drink related. Christmas Day, 4 o'clock, too much red wine. I fell asleep at the dinner table. Apparently I was a disgrace, an embarrassment. She was humiliated. The other guests in the dining room at the hotel we were staying at thought it was fucking hilarious. But I felt it was a bit like the pot calling the kettle black, because just before Christmas she said, you have remembered that tomorrow I've got my work to do and you've agreed to pick me up. I said, yeah, I've remembered. I was a little bit taken aback because she's self-employed and works from home. But I went and picked her up regardless, and we've been married quite some time, and 20 odd years, and I've been through it so many times, so I don't know why I was a little bit surprised. But she got in the car and all I said was, have you had a nice time? And she said, I'm not drunk. I said, no, I didn't say you were. I'm just asking if you've had a nice time. So I've had a lovely time, but I've worked out, you don't love me, do you? Oh, here we go. Yeah, I do love you. No, you don't love me, you just married me for convenience. I don't think you've ever loved me. I said, love, I do love you, I've always loved you. If you love me, she said, you've got to prove it to me right now. I said, how am I going to do that? She said, you'll get on top of me and you'll make love to me. I said, that's not going to happen. She said, give me one good reason. I said, I'll give you 3. Go on then. Go on, she said. I said, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're still outside Wetherspoons. And your best mate Chris is in the fucking back of the car. And the thing is, that's her girlfriend, right? Chris is her best mate, she's her girlfriend. And it's perfectly acceptable in my wife's eyes for her and her girlfriend to go away to Jersey, to Lanzarote for a week at a time. I wanted 2 days away with my bloody girlfriend. But we have got to that stage in our relationship. We've been married 20 years, and it's the little things, to be honest, that irritate me more than anything. Fucking breathing. And when we're driving, she's got because I'm not particularly tall, as you may have noticed, and thanks for not shouting out. This is meant to be stand-up, so why aren't you? You've been particularly kind in that. We'll come to a junction, and I might not be able to see to the left of me, so I'll just say, is it safe to go? And she'll go, yep, and I'm halfway across, and then I'll get, if you're quick. Right, that's, you just don't want to hear that, do you really? But we have been married 20 years, and she said to me the other day, she said, I think the romance has gone out of our relationship a little bit. I said, well, I don't think so. She said, well, it is. She said, you know, making love's become a bit mechanical. She said, you're not very romantic. I said, well, what would you like? She said, well, maybe it would just be nice to have some candles and just some music playing in the background, you know, just to break the monotony, just break the silence. Okay, fair enough. So I recorded some music, and I put the first track on as we were getting down to it, Angels by Robbie Williams. It was going well. I've got to be honest, it's all right, I've turned that camera on, Deets, we're fine. It was going well, Angels by Robbie Williams. I think, to be quite honest with you, choice of song number 2 was a bit of a mistake. Thing for Match of the Day. I've got to be honest, that joke normally goes down far better than that. You should be absolutely ashamed of yourselves for not laughing. But she said, should you never surprise me? Should you never surprise me? I like being surprised. So a couple of nights ago, she was in the bathroom getting ready. I turned all the lights out in our bedroom. managed to wedge myself under the bed, and when she came in, I just grabbed her ankles and she shit herself. And apparently that wasn't the surprise she had in mind. But we've tried other things. We've tried the romantic bath together. Wasn't a particularly good idea. We're both knocking on now. We're both sort of turned 16. We put on a fair bit of weight. It was a bit like two Teletubbies wedged in a sink, to be quite honest. And what I discovered was, like, ladies, you have a slightly higher tolerance of water than us men. That water was basically warm enough I could have boiled a fucking lobster alive in it. And we were both sat there and wedged in, and we both got cramp, and we just leapt up at the same time. And it was just like a mini tsunami, to be quite honest. The tidal wave hit the bathroom door. The poor cat on the landing, he didn't stand a chance. He was washed out to sea, and we haven't seen him for about 4 days. But, you know, that's just the way it goes. And my wife's retired now, and one of the things about her retiring was I said, look, when you retire, we'll get a dog, right? And we got a dog last year. He's fantastic. He's lovely. He's an Irish Terrier, and when we got him, brilliant dogs at training, absolutely fantastic dogs at training. Because within a day, he trained me to pick up his shit, which I thought I was never going to have to do. Because back in the day, when I was a kid, I was born in 1958, which is like some of you won't even know when that is. That's just like a figment of your imagination. And like growing up in the 60s. There was still dog shit around, but you didn't worry about it. You didn't have people going around with your pockets stuffed full of plastic bags. You just left it, turned white, you kick it, and it would turn to dust. You know, that's what you did. But, I mean, having said that, there were occasions when on a weekend, you know, being at home, some idiot would come in and they'd have stood in it. And, you know, I can remember many occasions my mum stood at the kitchen sink scraping a shoe off. Sometimes she thought to take the dishes out. Which was nice, and we had some friends round in the summer for a bit of a party, and I was upstairs doing something, and they had their 12-year-old daughter with them, and all of a sudden my wife screamed out, "Oh my God, the dog's in the garden! He's got a rabbit in his mouth!" And that's like, oh shit! And I was like, you know, I was heartbroken. I think, oh, that's not what you want to hear. So like, I legged it out. To see the dog with a rabbit in his mouth. But as it turns out, those love toys from Honey, what's his name, are really robust. I completely cocked that up, to be honest, but it wasn't funny. It was still funny. Oh, thanks. Love Honey. Thank you so much. You fucking know what that was, didn't you, eh? You were straight in there. Yeah, Love Honey, mate. That's brilliant. I have travelled down from Gloucester. Have we got any other... Don't touch those things. Have we got any other Gloucester people in here tonight? Are you all from Bristol? I can see that none of you run pubs in Knoll West because you've all got your faces and fingers intact, haven't you? So like, but Gloucester, I'm from Gloucester, and the next act who's going to come on fairly shortly, he's from Cheltenham, and I mean, we get on, we're all right, we get on, but I didn't realise how much variances there were between Gloucester and Cheltenham people until about, I think it was last year, and it was announced that Gloucester and Cheltenham might be twinned to make a super city. And BBC Gloucester went out into the local community to ask some people what they thought, and they came out into King Square in Gloucester and asked some Gloucester people, how do you feel about being twinned with Cheltenham? And it was, I think that's a fantastic idea, like, because, you know, we're pretty backward and they're quite, you know, sensible, and they got festivals and all sorts of stuff, and that'd be really, really good. They went to Cheltenham, they found one woman who was prepared to speak to them outside a wine bar at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and her answer to the question, how do you feel about twinned with Gloucester, summed up the feeling between us, because she simply said, ghastly, which is, I don't know what you know about, Gloucester, what we're famous for. You might, obviously, we've got Gloucester Rugby, we've got Fred West, or had Fred, yeah, like fucking Bristol squeaky clean. But we've got the cheese rolling. Have you heard about the cheese rolling? So basically, for those of you who don't know, it's an annual event every Whit Monday. A group of poor people gather at the top of a very steep hill. They roll the cheese down, they chase after it, and if they catch it, they win it. I've never entered. I am going to have a go this year. I have been practicing. I've been rolling the baby bell down my drive. That's going well. But one of the winners of one of the races last year was a 15-year-old girl from Gloucester. called Kylie. And BBC Southwest were there to film the event, and they interviewed Kylie after it, and they said, so Kylie, you've entered the race, you've won. What would you like to say? She said, well, yeah, I did enter the race, she said, and I put my heart and soul into it, and I won it, and I'm very surprised. And they said, why are you surprised? And what I wanted Kylie to say at that point was something quite profound. Something that would put Gloucester on the map with millions of people watching BBC Southwest. What I wanted to say was, well, like, look at me, I'm 15. I've already got 6 kids by 3 different dads. 2 black, 2 white, and 2 I'm not quite so sure about. Everyone written me off. They said I was no Oprah, I'd never do nothing. I got thrown out of school at 14. But I thought, do you know what, Kylie? Do you know what? This is your chance to prove yourself. And I've trained hard for it. I've been to the gym and done all sorts of things. And I got to the top of that hill and I looked down and they rolled a cheese and I went herring after. I didn't give a thought to my safety. I was just after proving it. Proving to people I am not a no-hoper. That's what I wanted her to say. What came out of Kylie's mouth to the question, why were you surprised, was, I don't even like cheese. I mentioned I was 60 last year, which came as a bit of a fucking shock, I can tell you. And I thought over the years, being ginger, that my temper would have subsided a little bit. That wasn't until we had a new kitchen fitted by Moban. Never have a Moban kitchen fitted. It was a nightmare from start to finish. They just couldn't get anything right. And on the last day of fitting, they managed to scratch one of the light oak wooden doors. And I said, oh look mate, what are you going to do about that? He said, oh don't worry, I'll get on to customer services, I'll order a new door, it'll be here tomorrow, it'll be fine. 8 weeks went by of chasing and chasing for this light oak wooden door, nothing at all. And then last Saturday, we were just going to go out and there was a knock on the door, the postman came with a door-shaped parcel. He said, do you want to sign for this, Mr. Hill? Yeah, took it in, signed for it. My wife said, are you going to open it? I said, well, we don't need to open it. Look, it's clearly a door. We're going out. Let's just go out and have a... No, why don't you open it just to make sure? All right, okay, because she clearly knows best. So I just cut the top off and pulled out a blue door. She said, I'm going out because you're going to get on the phone, aren't you? I said, yes, I am. I was on the phone to Moban Customer Services. I said, hello, it's Mr. Hill. Oh, hello, Mr. Hill, how are you? They know me by now. How am I? Yeah. I said, well, my door's arrived. Oh, well, that's good, because you've been waiting ages, haven't you? I said, yes, I have. I said, and the door's blue. And she sniggered, right? She sniggered down the end of the phone. I said, did you just laugh? She said, well, you have got to see the funny side, haven't you? I said, no, not really. So I've been waiting 8 weeks for this door. It's turned up. I'm expecting the light oak wooden door to finish the kitchen off, and it's blue. What are you going to do about it? Well, she said, to be honest, it's nearly 12 and we knock off in a minute. I said, not fucking today, you don't. She said, what do you expect me to do? I said, well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you go down to the warehouse, you find the twat that's picked the wrong door, you can give him a slap for me, you get a light oak wooden door, you get in your car, you drive down from Liverpool or wherever it is you are, you come to my house, knock on my door, I'll bring you in, I'll make you a coffee, you put the door on the kitchens, and then you fuck off back there, and I never want to see you or hear from your company again. So there's no need to be that abusive. I sort of think there's every fucking need to be this abusive. She said, can I just ask you one question? I said, what is it? She said, did you say the door's blue? I said, yes, the door's blue. And she said, you have peeled back the blue protective cover. Yeah, listen. Andy said you'd be a challenge tonight, and you've been absolutely lovely, so thanks very much for listening to me. And it gives me now great pleasure to introduce a very good friend of mine who's going to come and chat to you as well. His name's Dimitri Deitch, so if you can make him very welcome, give it up for Dimitri Deitch.